Okay, is the video started?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll call this meeting to order. This is the Breezy Point City Council, Monday, April 6th. Our first order of business will be the Pledge Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is kind of a little bit different thing we have right now with the remote call-in. We'll have to figure out what's going on. Do we have Mary Reedy?
Nope, she's
Connected
working on it. She may call in if the video doesn't log in.
Okay, so her video's not logging in. So we'll kind of skip Mary for right now on the audit presentation. We'll move into the consent agenda. You have before you the council minutes from March 2nd, 2020. The approval of claims totaling $101,434.22, which is electronic checks 2500E through 2501E, paper checks electronic check 2514E through 2515E, and paper checks 135859 through 135896, and 135898 through 135935. And you also have an authorization to the sale of the squad car. The new squad car has been received and it's getting outfitted. We will be selling the old squad car, and so this is authorizing the sale of the old squad car. And then we also are approving the 2020 to 2021 Pequot Lakes Fire Contract. And then we have the recommendation for the jetter bid. We put the jetter up for sale, and we're rejecting the bid on that, and we are accepting the trade-in value. And so approval of our consent agenda will approve the fire contract and the opening of the bid on the jetter.
So moved.
And is there a motion? Gary Bakken
So moved.
is moved. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, well, Gary Mitchell is here. He seconded the motion. And so I will call the roll call. And because we have to call the roll, I will name each individual and then just say yay or nay. Gary Bakken.
Yay.
Gary Mitchell.
Yay.
Mike Maroney.
Yay.
Rebecca Ball.
Yay.
Consent agenda is approved. And the items that we have listed to be approved are approved.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I just have you officially say yay, that it's because it is a roll call vote?
Oh, okay. I will say yay, because typically I don't vote unless I'm breaking a tie. But I can say yay, and it's generally assumed that I vote with the majority. Next item is, we don't have Mary yet, right?
Correct.
Okay, so next we'll move on to open forum. Anybody wishing to come before and speak to open forum? We do have one person here available, so come to the microphone, state your name and address, and you may speak to the council.
Mark Miller, 32255 West Street, Breezy Point. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak at this city council meeting. First, I would like to let everyone know how reassured I am to see the city of Breezy Point government operating business as usual in these uncertain times, including the continued efforts of the Public Works Department, and obviously a huge thank you to the first responders and police officers in our community. I would also like to express my gratitude towards the hardworking members of the administrative city staff, and in particular a special thanks to the deputy clerk, Deb, who allowed me to turn in and pay for my building permits for 2 new construction homes I am currently building in the Delwood Acres development. I sincerely hope that these minor inconveniences are short-lived and that life can return to a somewhat state of normal in the near future. To my point at hand, I ask that the city administration and city council look at installing new speed limit signs on East Street and West Street at a point that is halfway down, or in this case, halfway in the northward direction going towards Lake Aussie. I ask that those speed limit signs be installed with the blinking light features that tell people their speed or to slow down if they are exceeding the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. Currently, there is only one sign within the first 100 feet once you turn off of County Road 11 onto either East or West Street. And with the weather and season improving, there have been several people out walking, children biking, pedestrians in general. They may not be visible to a driver because of the varying topography, which creates a challenging and blind approach. This would make it considerably difficult for a vehicle operator to come to a complete or immediate stop if they're speeding or distracted. And it would be a shame and a tragedy if one of these innocent children, families, or seniors were critically injured because of someone's negligence, disrespect for the law, or perhaps they didn't see the speed limit sign because of a natural obstruction that reduced its visibility, as is the case on West Street. As a father, I know that I have concerns for the safety of my two sons on West Street, and I encourage them to be ever vigilant, look both ways, express caution when they go out to ride their bicycles. The speed limit sign with interactive options might be a friendly reminder to those commuting down East Street and West to slow down, pay attention to those out enjoying nature, playing, and play a role in protecting everyone's safety. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. How are we doing on Mary?
Deb's trying to get hold of her right now.
Okay. So then we'll move on to the mayor and city council reports. One of the things that I don't want people to forget about is that the census is still active. There's been some minor changes to the field work on the census and extending that, but just want to remind the public that the census needs to be responded to. If you go to mycensus2020.gov, it will pop up like a 5-minute questionnaire, and that's all you need to fill out for the entire census. That's basically about all. It's trying time for everybody to try and work through all of this, and it's going to be a challenge. We're going to be this way for a little while longer. Next, I'll move on to the council members. Gary Bakken, do you have anything?
One minor item, Aviation Days is canceled, as most people know, and it's unfortunate, but we all know what the situation we're in, so
Okay.
next year, unfortunately.
Okay. Gary Mitchell, anything?
Well, the roads committee had a meeting, but Michael's gonna cover
I was
that.
going to say, we have that coming up next. Okay. Rebecca, anything?
I don't have anything, no.
Okay. Michael, we'll, if we don't have Mary yet, and it appears like we don't, we will move to Michael, and you can talk about the roads committee.
I don't think Mary is on about that. I was having a little bit of computer issues.
Oh. Okay, sure. Okay, let's
Oh,
put,
there she is. She's on video.
yeah, she's on video. Okay, we'll put you on hold, Michael, and we'll move back to the audit presentation.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay, everybody's having trouble.
Okay, perfect. I think that you're gonna put up my PowerPoints, or do you just want me to walk through them?
Walk through.
Just walk through it, are we gonna,
I gotta
Okay,
go back up there.
perfect.
okay,
So we were able to get through the audits. We came out on site for about a day. Didn't have a lot of issues. Staff was ready for us. So thank you for that. In and out seems to go very well. In front front of you, you should have your audit reports that I sent over, and then the PowerPoints as well. So we like to do the PowerPoint just because it gives you a little bit better picture. It goes back a couple of years, and then you can kind of do some comparisons. But everything from the PowerPoint actually ties back into the financial statements. So we'll get started with the PowerPoint, and then feel free to stop me. I'll try and look and see if anybody has any questions at any time. So we'll start with the PowerPoint. We'll go through some required communication, the audit results.
Lost Mitchell.
Items that we have.
Oh.
So required communication.
We lost Mary. Oh, there you are. Okay, she's frozen up.
So it's unmodified opinion, clean audit report, that's the assurance that us as auditors can give. There were two material weaknesses.
I just got lost. I don't know if anybody can hear me yet, but
Send a draft before we release the audit, just so that it gets reviewed. We did test Minnesota compliance. We do about a 7-page checklist that we have to clean audit report. And it was a clean audit report. There were no findings noted there. So we'll go to page 5 of the PowerPoint. We'll go over some financial results. So here you can see it's the governmental funds, receipts and disbursements on page 5. A slight decrease in receipts. Last year there was about $136,000 from a developer. And then that was offset this year with an increase in your investment earnings by about $130,000. Increase in overall disbursements due to an increase in capital outlay. So if you look this year, you had quite a bit of capital outlay expenditures, about $423,000. And then you actually gave that developer project money back of $152,000. So that's why your expenditures are so much higher than last year as well. So if we go to page 6 of the PowerPoint, less than 5 months. Just because the city relies on the taxes to make those payments, and you don't get your first payments into about May or June. So you always want to make sure you have enough cash on hand to pay those bills. You can see here that you have about 8 months, so that's above the recommended 5 months from the state. Okay. The slight decrease from last year is due to the large increase in disbursements, like we talked about, the capital outlay. So if you look way down at the bottom of that page, you can see disbursements this year were $2 million compared to the 1.68 last year. Okay, and then you can actually see fund balance went up. So your true increase in disbursements caused that decrease in your month's expenditures of fund balance. So we'll go to page 7, your general fund, receipts and disbursements. So within the general fund, just a slight increase in receipts, about $43,000 of interest earnings, and then your increase in special assessment. So you had about $56,000 special assessments in the general fund. You had your increase in disbursements. Capital outlay in general fund was about $300,000, and then there was a payment of a developer deposit out of the general fund as well. So it was received last year and paid out this year. Okay. And then you actually have just over 8 months. That shouldn't say 10 months, it should be 8 months. We talked about unassigned fund balance of $1.4 million, and then disbursements of about $2 million. Okay. So page 8 goes to the debt service fund. Receipts are going to decrease just to the slight decrease in taxes and then special assessments. So you're working with a few prepaid special assessments. So those that come in will probably help pay for some of the debt that was issued, and that will be taken care of long term. So you'll see that disbursements will count as long as you keep that your the in-house level. And there's no addition more. So page 9.
He's frozen.
She's coming in on,
Road work completed.
Carries.
So this they bought 195, so about 184,000. Okay.
Got it. Frozen again.
So page 10,
You guys just have to.
this is cemetery fund.
yep, now I'm, I'm reconnecting.
The 17 numbers. Below it, Development Authority, receipts and disbursements. Okay, receipts there are mainly from taxes. Okay, and then disbursements similar to prior year. But if you look at these as well, it's about 2,000 of receipts and then 2,600 of disbursements. The bar graph makes it look a little bit bigger than what it is, but truly just 2,000 coming in and about 2,700 going out. Okay. So then we'll get into your sewer fund operations, more run like a business type. You charge services and then you pay for those expenditures. Okay. Revenue is very similar to last year. Slight increase in disbursements. Just a slight increase of about 7,800 in personnel costs. Investment earnings were up about 120,000 from last year. And then your capital outlay was very significant, about 739,000. Okay, those are the projects that are going on in 19. But when you look at this, you were able to fund all of that without having any bond costs. Right now, you're cash flowing your 2019 projects, looking like you'll be able to fund 2020. You really save quite a bit of costs when you're able to do that, not having to bond for it. And you can see way down at the bottom of that graph, unrestricted net cash position. So right now you're about 3.5 million, and your normal operating disbursements are about 300,000. Okay, so you can see this year you actually had a loss of about 294,000 if you go one up from the bottom. Okay, but if you look in prior years, you haven't had a loss. Right, so it's okay to drain that down a little bit and spend some of that cash as these projects come up as you go. You'll just want to keep assessing that on a year-to-year basis and see how it's doing. Okay, so if you go to page 13, we talked a little bit about the city's indebtedness and how it continues to go down. Way down at the bottom, you can see how much is left, just over $1 million. Okay, and then right now, if the city issues no more debt, that debt will be paid off in 2024, for just a few more years. Okay, page 14, total cash. So cash decreased in the sewer fund by approximately 300,000. That was due to the large capital outlay this year. And then if you look at the governmental funds, they actually increased by about 67,000. So that would be the total governmental funds, all of those that we talked about before sewer. Those all increased by about 67,000. Okay. Page 15, some other financial highlights. So the state actually requires us to submit the audit and the state auditor reporting form. That was done before March 31st. Okay, we talked about the sewer fund, paying for those capital outlays and still being able to cash flow those projects. Page 16. The general fund had a decrease of 1,000, but 195,000 was actually transferred to the capital project fund. Debt service fund still has a cash fund balance of about 255,000. So there will be some years where the debt service fund will actually come negative, and that's okay, is because you're supposed to be spending down that fund balance as you go, because you probably collected some of those prepaid special assessments. Revolving capital fund, we talked about, an increase of about 187,000 this year. So now cash fund balance is about 2.4 million. So that will be able to fund the projects going forward, the street projects that you have planned. Last year, the White Birch TIF fund was created. This was used to track the disbursement so we could keep it all together in one TIF. This year, all of that was completed and is now sitting at a 0. So that potentially will go away next year with all of the revenue and expenses being done. Okay. And then the sewer fund, talked about, had a decrease of about 294,000. And then, like I said before, if you look at years past, it's always been positive. So nothing too alarming there to be concerned with. I believe that's it. I'm hoping that no surprises. Obviously, I don't think anybody likes to have surprises right at the end. I didn't know if anybody had any other questions or concerns.
I know I do not have any questions.
Right. I was just going to say, any, comments from anybody?
I do not either. Thank you.
Rebecca, Michael, okay. Gary, did you have any comments?
I couldn't ask
you're on
any
mute.
building questions, so I'll refrain.
Michael?
What, the debt will be totally paid off in 2024, what budget is?
Oh, wait a minute, yeah, I gotta back up.
That's that crossover refinancing bonds
Right.
that you, the city issued for roads several years
Yeah.
earlier.
Hello?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Let me be really redundant here. I have some questions, and maybe this will come later.
You can hear me, right?
On the sewer, for Joe, I have some questions
Okay,
on that. Do
yeah,
we
we-
feel that later?
Hang on,
Right, okay.
hang on a second, Michael.
Gary, can you hear us?
Whoop, I'm lost.
Technical difficulties.
You're muted.
Patrick? Rebecca, you can hear me. Yeah.
I can hear you, yep.
Yeah, I'm just,
Tom,
I'm
you're still on mute?
reconnecting.
Or Patrick, whoever's controlling the phone.
Okay. Okay, Gary, where are you going?
Tom, try talking now. Tom, now we can hear you. Tom,
Oh,
now we
okay.
can hear you.
Yes, I think I was on mute. We just had a little bit of an accident here. Gary spilled his water. You had some comment, Michael?
Real quick, Tom. Pat,
I couldn't hear the question.
I can't, you're broken up. You're
Tom, go ahead and put mute on your computer again.
okay. Now I'm getting unstable. Now I'm reconnecting. Now I'm back.
This is Tom. I'll look at this.
Now I'm coming back. Yep.
Patrick, unmute your computer.
Yep. It's unmuted, but I've got to turn the volume back up
All right,
then.
let's try that now. There we go. Yeah, leave Tom on mute because I think we're getting some feedback when he talks.
Yeah. Well, Gary's got his.
Definitely
Are you on mute or?
I just muted it.
Okay.
I've been on mute before, but
Okay, Michael, did you have a comment?
Okay, okay. Yeah, we can hear you. So Mary had asked if any of us had questions. Rebecca and myself, Mary, that we did not have questions, so not sure if we had any.
Tom, I think Mr. Bakken said he had questions.
Yep.
Well, I've got some questions for staff. Do we feel that now, I would assume, or later?
If it's audit questions, it's now.
Is it an audit question?
Audit questions now.
I've got some questions about the sewer, why the loss,
It's
number one.
We put in $600,000 of road construction for the White Birch project.
Okay, that answers that. I have some questions for the chief.
He's here, but what's the question? He's
Question.
listening right now, too.
Question is, what's the speed limit on that gentleman's road over there in Delwood?
Okay, well, that's not an audit question. Let's save that one till later.
All right?
Okay.
We'll address that later.
Yes. The
That's
question
all
is.
I have.
Okay.
Okay. 'Cause right now, I want to focus on audit. Okay.
He's done. Did Gary have any?
Gary, have any question on the audit?
No.
Okay. And I don't think, whoops, I got to get on. Okay. I didn't have any question. I thought the audit was very good. I want to thank Mary and Clifton Larson for doing such a great job. And I also want to thank Carrie Jacobson, our financial person, that kind of coordinated all this. It's basically her baby, and I think we did a really good job this year. We always have those two outstanding issues, and that's just the consequences of having a small staff. But I want to thank you very, very much for all the work that you put in for us, and I'm very pleased with the results. And so I'm frozen. Can you still hear me? Or not? No.
We lost you, Mayor.
Yep, I'm reconnecting. Okay, here I come back. Okay, so at this point, I will entertain a motion to accept the audit as written.
So moved.
Gary Mitchell moves the issue. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Gary Bakken has seconded the motion. I'll do a roll call. All those in favor? Gary Mitchell?
Aye.
Gary Bakken?
Aye.
Mike Maroney? You have to unmute.
You did break up a little bit. We're having a roll call for all those in favor of accepting the audit.
Yes.
Then aye.
Okay. I heard Michael say aye. Rebecca? Okay. I'm here. I heard Michael, but his thing's still set on mute. So.
Yeah, he came in and out.
Okay. So the audit has been accepted, and we want to thank everybody at Clifton Larson and Carrie Jacobson for their hard work on this. And thank you very much. So right now, we're done with,
Michael has his hand raised. He wants to say something.
oh, go ahead.
Tom, can you mute your mic?
I just did.
I think we're getting feedback from some hands for yours.
Yeah, the echo's pretty bad.
I'm out. Reconnecting.
Thank you. Still hear you through the phone system.
Okay, so we're at committee reports, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mary's gone?
No, Mary's here. Mary can leave now unless she has something to say.
I don't, because I don't see her, but,
On the screen, she's sort of right.
oh, wait a minute. There she is.
Thank you, Mary, for bearing with us.
Okay. So, yep, you can leave the meeting now, Mary. Thank you again, very, very, oops.
Okay, thank you for having
Yep. Okay, so everybody can hear me even though I'm on mute? Evidently.
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you better this way.
And Joe Dubel is online. We'll
Yes.
bring him up when we get to his item.
Right. And that is the very next thing.
Well, we got road committee update.
Road
Oh,
committee.
road committee update. Michael, you started that, so let's continue on with the road committee update.
Yes, thank you. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me properly right now.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, I will continue, and in front of you do have a recap of our meeting that we had on March 26th. There's a number of items that we did go through, and
Tom, if you just raise your hand, I'll be watching you. If anybody has any questions, raise your hand. I'll be visually looking at you as well. So, some items that we talked about was the brush disposal
at the TLCC compost site.
off of Kern Drive. This is something we could.
Yeah.
What's that?
Committee update.
Do you want
You're-
Citizens using it, which is a good thing.
See, I can't hear
It's
there.
time for us to reconsider where that site moves. For the burning portion that we normally do during winter time, we want to move. We have,
Scroll down here a little bit. We are working on a CIP roads.
sorry, and also for equipment. So we are working on getting that finalized to present to the council in order for greater replacement in the next piece that we're talking about on working with that. Again, just to kind of lay groundwork of what will be replaced at what time.
Any questions thus far?
Anybody have any questions? Nope, no questions.
It's just a little different, so I just wanted to pause and ask questions. OSSI, Sunstrip and Sunset Strip and Graff Road projects, we reviewed this, and one of the things that we kind of looked at was the last road project we had is we had a finance term over 20 years. We looked at doing this on a 10-year assessment versus the 20-year assessment. And that would actually have a value of savings quite significantly of over $400 to homeowners and property owners on that road. So we are going to recommend a 10-year assessment on that project when that comes up due to the statistics that we looked at with that. Staff is working with a road project with the White Birch Drive and Antlers entrance project. If you've driven that before, it kind of has a Y road intersection. We kind of want to make it a T intersection. Patrons coming in and out of Antlers is a potential road hazard. So we want to have that more of a T as a proper intersection. So we are working on that project there. We're also looking at the field court for short-term and long-term. Again, another CIP is going to be evaluated, listing all the roads, when were they paved, when were they last sealed, the footages, give ballpark estimates of the costs on every current year as we look at those projects that come up. There are some roads that will not benefit from a new seal coat. And there are some roads that we'll probably have to look at potentially seal coating again in the future. So just a massive undertaking from Joe and staff there on documenting all those roads. And we also talked about our minimum maintenance roads. I know at our last budget meeting last fall, we talked about potentially putting money towards this. At that point, we did not dedicate any. The road committee felt that this is something that should be identified again in the budget coming up this year. Similar to the situation that we are in with Bushman Road. We saw issues with that a number of years ago, but we decided not to do anything a number of years ago. With minimum maintenance roads, we know that we want to upgrade these, but we know we don't want to do it all with a lot of cash up front. So we are going to ask that the budget committee and within the budget, we start looking at budgeting $10,000 a year towards that, or for a discussion point at least, starting at $10,000, so we can start building a fund to upgrade those minimum maintenance roads. And that's all I have unless anybody has any questions.
Okay. Any questions? Gary, do you have any
No,
questions?
sir.
Gary Mitchell?
Mayor, this may be the area where we could talk about the road question that Mr. Bakken was asking about.
Oh,
The speed limit?
okay.
The speed limit in that road is 30 miles an hour.
Right.
Okay.
That's the existing speed limit, which is pretty much all city streets.
Except for Shoreview Lane, which is 25,
I
and
know.
I'm wondering how that applies to Shoreview Lane, and I'm not familiar with that street. That's the question I want to ask the chief.
There was a special speed study done to allow for Shoreview Drive to be that lower amount.
That's right?
So are you saying you would like us to look into a special speed study for the road that was just talked about tonight? All he's asking is for signs, and we want some.
Oh, no, I'm not asking for a speed study. Oh, I had that as a question, and if he wants signs, I don't see anything wrong with that myself.
Well, he's asking for a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Okay, then they're gonna have to do a study, right?
Yeah.
All right?
And he also wants to have signs with the flashing LEDs.
Well, that's, all right, just to cut it short, Mr. Mayor, and council, it's up to you guys. You figure out what's best, and 30 miles an hour is,
The road committee will put it on their next agenda for
I
discussion.
think that's fine.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know. Thank you.
And he was obviously speaking from prepared notes. I think it would behoove us maybe to get a copy of those notes from him. It would be easier to assess everything that he was asking.
And one last quick question, if, pardon me, those two places, those spec homes, I'm assuming they're spec homes that he's building, they are on that road, am I right?
They're
That's what he
on
said.
roads adjacent to it.
Yeah.
Okay. All I need to know, thank you.
Okay. Can everybody still hear me okay? Because I'm still on mute. Okay. Okay.
Now go back to the thumbs and symbols.
Oh, I just
Okay.
lost Newell. Where'd he go?
Okay, so now we've completed with the road committee.
Thank you.
Administrative and staff reports. Now we're at the bids for the Asa Winnemucee Road and calling for the public hearing on May 4th. So Joe, we'll bring you on and enlighten us.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, but I'm listening through Patrick's speaker over there.
We all are.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah. Can everybody hear me?
Yes?
Okay, great.
There we go.
Yeah, we have the bids, and Anderson Brothers was the lowest bid on that. So I just want to go over the bidding. It was his bid, the construction cost bid was $122,791.88. If we follow down with the, have some contingency in the cost estimates still remaining. That's in case something happens during the project, if there's unexpected change. So we got a subtotal of $136,170.19. The Crow Wing County Engineering estimate as their bid for doing the work for the engineering and the construction. Mostly the engineering on Osmonecree Road, and then they'll be doing some inspection and construction services on that. That'll be the $9,112.52. Our city engineering is $16,340. I think our estimate was well above that. So we came in low on that. Legal administration, I left that's in for your any the administration costs that you'll have for the advertising for bids and the work that needs to be done for that. And then we have construction services in there, expected work that we'll be doing on Sunset and Graff Drive construction services. That was the actual feasibility report cost of $10,095. I think we estimated that in the $12,500. That included $7,000 worth of surveying work that was done on those roads. Total cost then was $189,420.76. The cost split with the city share and for the residents is 50%, and that would be $94,710.38. There are 59 accessible units, so each accessible unit would be $1,605.26. If you look on below where it says feasibility report, there's our estimated improvement cost. The accessible amount that was going to be assessed. Sorry, excuse me for the dollar sign in front of the 59. It's miscommunication there. So the estimated cost then, when we did the feasibility report, was $1,975. So the difference there is $370 per unit, final cost per unit cost. So I'd recommend accepting this bid that we had from Anderson Brothers through the, formally accepting it through the county. And then if I believe if that's accepted, the next thing we'd want to do is we'd want to set a hearing for the assessment hearing on May 4th. Patrick, is there something there that, or some questions I could answer for the council?
Okay, let's go through questions. Gary Bachman, any questions?
None.
Gary Mitchell?
No.
Michael, any questions?
I have no questions.
Rebecca?
No question.
Okay, so at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 08-2020 to acknowledge the receipt of the bids and prepare the assessments and setting the hearing on May 4th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
We'll give Michael the second this time.
There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Michael?
So now the next is a roll call.
Your Honor,
Yes.
what I heard you say is under the last whereas that we will acknowledge that Anderson Brothers was the low bid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just, I'm sorry, you acknowledged they were a low bidder and that you accept the bids. I'm sorry, I gotta add that word in there, accept.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going basically off the title, but accepting the bids from Anderson as the low bidder. Is that what?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we're good.
Okay, we're good. So I'll call the question. Gary Bakken? Aye. Gary Mitchell? Aye. Michael Maroney?
Aye.
Rebecca Hall? Rebecca, can you hear me?
That was a yes.
Okay, she's frozen on my screen here, so. Okay, and I will vote in favor of that also.
Yes, I said aye.
Okay, I couldn't hear you because I was frozen. Okay, so resolution 08-2020 has been accepted, and we will move forward on the ordering the preparation of the assessments and setting the hearing for May 4th.
No Bushman's outside.
Next item is a rezoning request for the Bushman property. Last month, Planning and Zoning approved the rezoning request for a property on Bushman Road, and that is rezoning it from estate lots to urban reserve. So I lost that. Yeah, it's currently designated as estate lots, and this rezoning will move it back into the urban reserve. The reason for this is the owner of the lots wants to sell it, and the person wants to use the property as for animal husbandry, and that would be allowed under urban reserve.
With an interim use permit.
With the interim use permit for the animal husbandry. Any questions? I'll start with you, Michael.
So I just want to re-clarify, this is just approving the rezoning. It is not to approve the animal husbandry.
That is correct.
Then I do not have any questions.
Right. Rebecca? Anything?
I don't have any questions either.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gary Bakken?
No, sir?
Gary Mitchell?
Does that mean this lots will be 10-acre lots?
They would have the right to subdivide them, but they are not subdividing at this time.
All right, and if we approve this, that's not telling the gentleman that he can have farm animals or whatever.
You are correct. It does not allow farm animals.
Okay, just so he don't misunderstand, because we're allowing this, that it's an okay for him to do that.
He's been fully versed on the fact that he would have to apply for an interim use permit for to allow animals.
Okay. Very good.
So basically what we're doing here is approving the recommendation from planning and zoning. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendation on changing the rezone from state lots to urban reserve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Rebecca seconds. Okay, any more discussion? Anybody? Okay. Call the question. Gary Bakken?
Aye.
Gary Mitchell?
Aye.
Michael Maroney?
Aye.
Rebecca? Rebecca?
Aye.
Okay. She's still frozen on my screen, but I heard the aye. So the rezoning for the Bushman property is approved. Okay, now the next item of business is Resolution 09-2020. This is a resolution to declare the emergency. Basically, it says, whereas the mayor of the city of Breezy Point finds the following local emergency exists in the city of Breezy Point, and on March 12th, President Donald Trump declared that the COVID-19 outbreak in the United States constitutes a national emergency, and on March 13th, Governor Tim Walz declared a peacetime state of emergency to authorize all necessary resources to be used in support of the COVID-19 response. And whereas Minnesota Statute 12.29 authorizes the mayor to declare the existence of the emergency, I have then declared a local emergency in effect April 6, 2020.
He doesn't know how to sign out.
And basically, it allows once the declaration is approved, then it'll continue until further action by the city council. And this allows the city administrator or his designee to enter into agreements and contracts necessary for the procurement of materials, equipment, and services required to respond to the local emergency. And all city departments and offices are directed to operate and support in response to this incident, including implementing new employee protocols, strategies, and processes to ensure that the public services are maintained. And also, the city administrator and appropriate staff are directed to request and coordinate appropriate aid resources from surrounding jurisdictions, Crow County, state of Minnesota, and the federal government as needed. And pursuant to Minnesota statutes 13D.021, the mayor has the authority as necessary to determine that in-person meetings for the city council and all advisory committees, commissions of the city of Breezy Point that are not practical due to prudent COVID-19 healthcare pandemic and peacetime emergency declared by Governor Walz. This action directs that any or all city meetings of the city council and city or commissions of the city may be conducted by telephone or other electronic means. The city staff is directed to take such action as may be necessary to enable such time meetings until such for the city council and all committee commissions to resume in-person meetings. It's a lot of mouthful to say, but is with the things going on today, this is going to be necessary to limit the personal contacts that we have to minimize the spread of this virus. I'll entertain any questions that anybody would have at this point. Gary Mitchell?
Hi, Gary.
I have a question.
Yes.
If one of our police officers come down with COVID-19, are all the rest of our police officers quarantined? And if they are quarantined, what kind of law enforcement protection will we have?
Yeah. Patrick?
In response to the question, that would be a personnel health and safety issue. We would not be able to respond to that. But I can tell you that none of our city employees have been diagnosed with COVID-19 or quarantined or have any restrictions on ability to show up.
I understand that, but that doesn't mean a week from now they won't.
Well, that's why we are practicing social distancing in the shifts that police officers work. They're not typically coming into a relationship with other police officers.
So in effect, if one would come down with it, the others would still be able to maintain their active positions?
Okay, now that I understand your question better, the answer is yes. If one comes down, he would be quarantined, and the rest of the staff would be able to fill in and take over.
Okay.
That answers my question.
And if all of the officers were down, which theoretically could happen, then we could rely on replacement officers from other jurisdictions to come in under this emergency order.
The county would be
The county would be.
County Sheriff's Department?
Sheriff?
Okay. All right.
Yep,
That's good.
that's a good question.
Very good.
Michael, any questions?
No questions, just a clerical change on number 3. It states implanting, I think it should be implementing.
I caught that, and I caught on number 2, instead of his, it should be there, so I don't know what those two people caught.
Okay, but, yes, that's a good catch. I went right through it when I read it. Anything else, Michael?
What was this?
No questions.
Okay, Rebecca, any questions?
No, nothing else. No, nothing else.
Okay.
No, no question.
I think I'm about to lose my video.
I will tell you that Michael and Rebecca, as a personnel committee, reviewed this, and they assisted me with the policy that's coming up, so.
Okay,
That's why we have little questions.
sure. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 09-2-2020 and the proclamation and declaration of emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Gary Mitchell moves.
Second.
Gary Bachman seconds. Further questions? Gary?
No, sir.
Gary Bachman?
No, sir.
Gary Mitchell?
No.
Michael, further questions? Michael, further questions?
No further questions.
Okay, Rebecca, anything?
No.
Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Gary Bachman, Gary Mitchell.
Aye.
Michael Maroney. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thumbs up don't count. Rebecca Ball.
Aye.
Very good. Resolution 09-2020 is approved, and we have proclaimed the state of emergency and those items that it supports. The next item was the COVID-19 policy. Patrick, do you want to talk about this, or should personnel?
Oh, I can talk about it.
Okay.
The rest can definitely add at any point in time. I will note that the process for COVID-19 is evolving on a regular basis. The policies that are included here were recommended by the League of Minnesota Cities right up until Thursday of last week, and then they modified their page and things have changed. I've notified the Personnel Committee and Council that we will continue to monitor them and deal with it as appropriate. There are some FMLA issues, there are some sick leave issues. We want to make sure that our employees don't have to use their time if they're not required to, and we are following legislation and we would seek advice as necessary to when and if some issue should come up with our employees. The governor has issued the shelter-in-place order. All city employees are determined to be essential. We are working on the ability for some employees to work from home and to also keep employees segregated. Essentially, right now, for the last week, we've all been coming in every day. Starting tomorrow, office will be staffed by typically one person or two people for short periods of time, all of the rest of this week, to try to follow the governor's order, and employees will be working from home. We've set up Deb and Carrie's computers to allow that, and we're going to give that a try until we run into problems. With the police officers, as I mentioned earlier, they're all on rotating shifts. They're not typically together. I've already seen them working from cars, not in the same room together. Public Works, they are all essential. We are implementing a policy of rotating. One employee is going to be working from home, essentially on call during their shift for a week, and then the following week another employee will be on call, so that we at least have one employee that's always able to avoid being quarantined if some issue were to come up. We are talking about what kind of training they can do online and some other issues for all the different employees while they're at home, and making sure that they are working when they are sheltering in place at home. Most importantly, we want to let the policy states that all employees will be paid at their normal rate of pay, and so that we are not asking anybody to take a pay cut or take days off or sick leave unless it's ultimately called for. Their job duties may evolve, things change. All employees during the time that they're working from home will be on call during their shift, and we will be asking them to be able to answer questions and report to work if necessary. If they become sick or have to use, or another member of their family becomes sick, or they lose daycare, they need to notify the city administrator right away, and we will work with the policies that have been adopted by the federal and state governments. Employees are required to let the administrator know if they are quarantined and not break quarantine, so that we don't infect or potentially require more employees to be quarantined. We will continue the ongoing communications between myself and the supervisors with the mayor. May have just lost, now we're coming back. And then the mayor and I are communicating on a daily basis. Host has lost all participants.
One. Are we back? Can you still hear us, Michael?
Mike, are we now being heard?
He looks frozen.
For some reason, we lost all participants at 1 hour. I don't know why.
I hear somebody talking.
Interesting. At that point, I just saw that your screen was stopped sharing.
Okay.
But could you hear me, Michael?
We just lost maybe 30 seconds.
We just talked about the communication between the mayor and myself and the supervisors, and that's just going to keep ongoing. And I will tell you that I met with the city administrator from Pequot this afternoon, and we talked about some of the things that they've implemented, and one of the things is a puck-style microphone speaker that they said will eliminate the problems we were experiencing other than the unstable internet. We'll have to have that looked at.
Yes, the bandwidth, I think, did cut out unfortunately a few times. We got the gist of what the topic was being talked about, but yes, it did cut out a few times. Otherwise, I think it went fairly well for our first time being digital. But yes, if we could invest into that microphone, I think that would help out. Mr. Mitchell was a little difficult to hear at some points, just had to push the earbud in a little bit to hear, so that would help out immensely. Hopefully everybody could hear myself and Rebecca and Mary when she was on, when we were talking via the phone system. No, Mr. Bakken says it didn't turn out so well.
Yeah, we had some problems with Mary until, part of what we tried earlier today was muting my everything, and then we found out during this meeting this needed to be turned back up, which is contrary to what we found earlier, so.
Yeah, it's working just opposite from what we were testing out this morning. But we're still struggling through. The instability of the internet is causing problems. I've basically shut down and restarted the Zoom multiple times during this meeting. So I'm not sure if there's an issue with maybe something in my computer that's, bogging it down or whatever. But we're having some problems. Plus I get a delay. Gary Mitchell's on an Apple laptop, and there's a slight difference in the audio coming through. So I'm hearing his and hearing mine and hearing Patrick's. So I just basically turned my volume all the way down, and I'm listening through Patrick's speaker.
Yeah.
So
There was a lot of somebody else talking midpoint. I mean, it was, there was two different people talking. Where that comes from, I have no idea. But
that was the delay.
Yep.
You're hearing the voice. You hear like
voices were
there's
different.
probably about a second delay between Patrick speaking and it coming through the speaker.
Very poor, in my opinion.
It's a problem. We'll have to work through this.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm showing everybody that's participating. You can see that we have 2 phone call participants. That happens to be Joe Zierden, right on the screen. If you look on this, Joe Zierden and the chief in the other room listening, so that we were trying to test other portions of this too.
I have a question when we have time.
Yes.
It's my understanding Zoom is very easy for hackers to get into.
Yes.
And is there a problem when we have a meeting? I can't really think of one, but maybe somebody else can.
Who wants to speak now?
Pardon?
Well, I'm sure Tom will probably say the same thing. With our Zoom meetings, first off, all of the discussions that we're having are all public comment anyway. Anybody could join, so there's nothing secure about what we're doing at a city council meeting. So if anybody were to come in to hear it, that's not a problem. It's where malicious people are doing inappropriate things, which I've read some reports that people just end that meeting, send out a new meeting invite. But the other thing that we're doing too is we're implementing the passwords, and that was part of Zoom's problem, was they did not require you to enable a password on the meeting. And so I believe they just changed that on their system basis, that as of Monday, today, they are enforcing passwords to be actually utilized with the Zoom meetings. So that is one way to start securing them. That was one of their potential openness, is because they did not require it, and people were using Zoom meetings. And if you knew a 9-digit code, you could potentially get into a meeting.
Right. Another thing had to do with the people signing off. They were leaving the meeting and not ending the meeting. And if they would leave the meeting without ending it, the meeting was essentially open. A hacker could get in, and if he got in as the host, he could then take control of the meeting, open up people's videos, open up their audios, and basically just monitor what was going on, and they had no idea that they're being spied on. So those issues, I just noticed. I was on a Zoom meeting this morning, and while I was on the meeting, their update came out and incorporated, I think it was 3 different updates all at once. And one was dated as of today. So they're actively, patching this up. A lot of municipalities, a lot of businesses are using the Zoom, and it's evolving, and I'm sure their IT staff is working overtime to try and catch up with all the bugs, because the host would like you to unmute your microphone.
No, I'm just trying to do something while you're talking, Tom.
Oh, he's trying to do So we're playing with the toys, and I think we'll get there eventually.
I'd like to say something if I may.
Yep.
Last night and the night before, the federal government, national TV, main channels, for ABC I was watching, Muir, federal government has warned people not to use Zoom because of the hacking problems. So this morning I did call my banks that I contract with, and they absolutely, I'm forbidden to go on social media, period, because of that, but they absolutely forbid my participating in Zoom for that reason. So just a little something out there. And it's cumbersome at best. I don't know how much better it can be refined, but I want to thank the mayor and the administrator and Deb and everybody else who put in a lot of time to get this to work, and it's disappointing to me.
Yeah, well, the thing is, for especially financial businesses, because of the hacking issues that were identified, if you were using your personal computer, that would not have been a good thing. But the fact, if you have a city-issued laptop like we have here, that's totally isolated from that financial network. So you using Zoom on the city computer is perfectly fine. That's not an issue. And so when you say, I'm prohibited from using Zoom, that's a misstatement. That's not
I
what
am
they're...
prohibited by the banks I work with.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Don't do it.
We'll get to that later, but yeah.
So you're saying with my Apple here, I'm vulnerable?
With your Apple, because you're using that for your personal, then that could be vulnerable.
Yeah, I
If you were
don't-
using the city computer, that's totally isolated, you're not connected. The only thing it's connected to is the city stuff, and we don't have anything on these that is an issue.
Let me ask a quick question here. Can they access the city site?
Through this?
Yeah.
No, they can't, because you have limited access with your rights. That's why when I say, that's why I say if you're on the city computer, you're using Zoom, that's fine.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with your financial stuff.
Thank you.
So it'd be like if the company said that you couldn't play solitaire, that means you can't play solitaire on any computer. That's the way you're interpreting it, and that's not the case.
I get it. Thank
Okay?
you.
Okay, we're not done yet. We have the next item, we have we're looking at setting a special meeting on April 15th. It's a workshop to discuss items that are of concern in the comprehensive plan, and so we want to be looking forward and making a game plan. This would be something that we would want to have a workshop on probably at least annually. And what we're doing is proposing to do this on April 15th, which is the date of the Board of Review. So we already have that Board of Review scheduled. Right now, we are looking at having that on video conference as well, but we'll have to see how that all works out. Or was this going to be, Gary's going to be
It
here?
would be video, but it would still be in this room,
Right.
not the other room.
Oh, okay,
There's not really adequate space.
okay.
Since everything changed when we were first talking about this.
Okay, so we're still talking about having it here. As far as having it on video, we're still talking about that as far as if that is feasible, and we have some track record on making this work. That special workshop, we will announce tonight that we will be having that special workshop following the local board review on the 15th. And you have the memo from Patrick as to what items we could be talking about. The community center, what do we want on some feasibility study on that? Minimum maintenance roads policy, Bushman Road. Look at our requirements on the house sizes, lot sizes, animal husbandry, access structure height, VRBOs, discourse, and many other things. A lot of items that came up during the comprehensive plan. We want to have at least an annual workshop, maybe possibly even more, but we do need to start taking action on the comprehensive plan. And basically at this point, I'll open it up to discussion. Gary? Nothing? Gary Mitchell, anything on that? Michael?
I have nothing.
Okay. Rebecca, anything on it?
I was just curious if you had a time frame you were going to set for that meeting, like for how long you were going to have that workshop last, if I was going to plan for that for...
It shouldn't last more than 8 hours.
That'd be my guess. All afternoon.
I would say we should have that, cranked up, or, let's allow at least 2 hours for it, just because of the number of things we want to go over and start making plans for that, if that would work for you.
Okay, I can plan for that, yep.
Okay. She's frozen in my screen again, so.
A motion and a second to approve the time to start at noon.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to have the workshop starting at a time following the local board of review and to last no more than 2 hours.
So moved.
On April 15th.
So
Yes, Patrick?
You want to get your second, then I'll comment.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Gary Mitchell will second. Patrick, comment.
Legally, we should have an official start time, like 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock,
Okay.
just because there has to, so for public purposes.
Okay, for public purposes, we will say that the meeting will start at noon and end at 2.
And it cannot start any earlier than 2.
Cannot
Or noon, I'm sorry.
start any earlier than noon, okay? And we will try to be done by 2. Okay, so that's the motion. Any discussion? Anybody? Michael? Rebecca?
No.
No, sir.
No.
All those in favor of setting the special workshop for April 15th from 12 to 2, please say, roll call. Gary Bakken?
Aye.
Gary Mitchell?
Aye.
Michael Maroney?
Yay. Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
Okay, so that is set, and that completes our agenda. I want to thank everybody and their patience for trying to get this thing done. We'll have to see how Deb comes out with transcribing the minutes, because I have a suspect that we're going to have a lot of holes in the tape. So, well, thank you, everybody. Go back home and sequester.
Yep.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
You guys put in a lot of work on that.